So I started drugs the first time in 1969. It started really slipping out of control in my high school years. Started getting in trouble, missed class, getting kicked out of school. Then on top of that, my mother got diagnosed with cancer and she died. The length of my addiction was probably 30 years, and I went to a lot of different places, some real lows legally, with my family, relationally. Obviously, I was unable to hold a job, so there was no career or no aspirations for a career. So I dove into the criminal element 100%, trafficking cocaine and heroin, doing robberies, anything I could do, things that I promised and told myself I would never do. Nothing at all mattered at that point other than feeding the addiction. Been incarcerated in Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Florida, Texas, Arizona, California. Geographicals never worked. I didn't know at the time that everywhere I went, I took myself. And that was the problem. It wasn't the city and it wasn't the people. It was myself, and I always took myself with me. I found a way out. You know, I got out through a barred window that had some flaws in it, and it took me about a month and a half, and I got out, and I avoided the gun tower, climbed over the building, and went through the razor wire. And the razor wire literally almost killed me. I got caught up in the razor wire. It ripped apart my hands, my head, my legs. I thought it would be something like barbed wire, but it was nothing like that. And looking back, I would rather take my chances with a gun tower than the razor wire again, but the stuff works. So when they caught me, I was on a national bolo, so they were looking for me. My family knew about it in Michigan, and they had already tried to contact people that the institution knew about, and they were searching for me. They caught me in a hotel bleeding to death, and they basically rescued me. And as a result of that escape, because it was an election year and the sheriff was trying to get reelected and build a new prison, they really didn't want me covering the newspapers and being the attention and the focus. So they offered me a deal. And I tried. I'd been to 5 treatment centers. In between all this time, I'd been to Celebrity Treatment. I'd been in LA to Daniel Freeman, Charter Glades, Beverly Hills. I'd been to every treatment facility, coast to coast. My family spent approximately $250,000 on psychotherapy and treatment. They tried the best they could to offer me a chance at life. They were just absolutely baffled with my addiction. And so was I. I was just bound and spiritually bankrupt and unable to even to deal with what I was involved in. And that's the definition of addiction. I didn't want to be the way I was. I couldn't not be that way. The addiction completely governed and took over my life, had me doing the things that I didn't want to do to feed it. And when I was in jail this last time, in 2004, I just hit a hopelessness and a darkness that I'd never experienced. And I laid on the cell floor and I balled up like a child crying. And I said, God, if you're real, help me. And that was my prayer. That was the only thing I knew how to say. I didn't know God. I had no experience or no relationship with God. In fact, in prison, I was against God. I thought people in prison used God as a shield, and they were cowards, and they hid behind it, and they were hypocrites for speaking the word and doing differently. So I promised myself I wouldn't be that. And when I was on that floor, hopeless and dark in that place, not wanting to live ever again, and I asked God to help me, I was speaking to the living God. I wanted to help. I wanted help. And I had an encounter instantly. I had an encounter on that floor in that moment that transformed me radically and changed my life. And everything good happened as a result of that moment, that prayer. And it wasn't at an altar, it was nowhere, it was just with me and God. And I started having hope again. I started having peace in my heart that hadn't been there since I could remember. And so I pursued that. I had a hunger to learn more. I picked up a Bible, and over the next few months, I had talks with God, and I said, look, get me out of this mess, right? I didn't know a whole lot. I just knew I was in a lot of trouble, and I didn't want to die in prison. I was 40 years old, and I was looking at 45 years, and the numbers didn't add up real good with my lifestyle. Didn't figure I would make that. And I just said, help me out, God. Help me out of this mess. And he posed the question to me, and he said, will you serve me if you have to go to prison for 45 years? And I didn't want to answer that. For a couple of weeks, I wouldn't answer that. And I didn't feel like that was fair, and it wasn't the question I was asking. I was asking for help. And finally, I said, God, if I never have to feel the way I felt on that floor that day, if I never have to feel that hopeless and dark, I'll serve you anywhere. And as soon as I said that, things happened behind the scene. I took a plea bargain for 49 months to go to prison, which was a sweetheart deal with all the felonies I had. I took that plea bargain and I went in for sentencing, and the prosecutor stood up and said, I don't know why I'm doing this, and he'll never finish it, but there's this place in Sarasota. I'm going to send him to the Harvest House. Today I have a wonderful life. My wife and our relationship has been transformed and restored. We have a 4-year-old daughter, Margot Jane, and she's the apple of my eye. She's a beautiful little girl, and we just had a son 6 weeks ago, Michael James. My life is so good, sometimes I wake up and I feel like I should be twins. It's just that good, and I am a twin, so I don't know what that means, other than today, looking back, I never would have thought or imagined in my wildest fantasies that my life would be this whole and this rich and this full. What I do is I extend exactly what was extended to me through the Harvest House to the men and women that come into the facility. And I'm Christ's hands extended. God's given me strategies. He's given me some real applicable, real-time, real-life strategies to help the men and women get through some of the issues of addiction, some of the patterns of living that they've been bound by. Going through it myself, and God bringing me through those things, He's really developed those in me. So today I get to do that. It's a dream come true. It's a passion for me. It's not a job. It's a life, and I'm able to give back a little bit, a small part of what I've been given. So to the person out there struggling with addiction, that's been bound by addiction and all the lifestyles that go with it, the hopelessness and the helplessness, the feelings of inadequacy. I don't care, and I don't care what the world's told you, what psychiatrists have told you, what judges have told you, what you may be telling yourself. The fact of the matter is, there is hope, and there is a way, and there is life, and there's a good life available for you. And I just want to encourage you and let you know that there is nothing broken in you. There's absolutely not one thing broken in you. You were created with everything to succeed and thrive in life. And the Harvest House is a place that'll really bring that to the forefront. It'll really provide a platform for you to once again dream dreams, have the vision that you had as a child. And I want to encourage you, there is hope. There's hope without dope, and this is the place that you can get that.